Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Laurel Hess and this is Comcast Newsmakers. Joining me now is State Representative Sam Singh, a Democrat from the 69th District, which represents East Lansing, Okemos, Hazlet, Williamstown Township, and Locke Township. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
With MSU being in your district, you are very passionate about higher education, funding for higher education, how we can really help our public universities assist our students without putting our students into debt or as much debt if possible.
That's right. I've been pleased for the last 2 years to be the vice chair of the Higher Education Appropriations Committee. 3 years ago, before I came into the legislature, the governor and the legislature at that time cut all public universities by 15%. And you saw that obviously impact the 15 public universities. And as part of my role coming in as a new legislator was to kind of move that trend back to the positive side. I've been pleased over the last couple of years. We've seen some increases, but we still haven't gotten them back to where they were 3 years ago. So there's still a lot of work to be done.
Well, it seems like when there are direct cuts, the universities simply pass that along but with tuition increases, correct?
Absolutely. If you look at over 30 years ago, 72% of the students' cost of education was borne by the state of Michigan, only about 28% by tuition. Now that's reversed. About 70% is now done by students. And so that has obviously increased a lot of student debt. And that's something I think for our state, if we want to be successful in a global economy, we really have to come around and find the right solutions that don't burden our students with that much debt.
Are we making any progress? Do you see any change in the positive direction, let's say in the next 2 to 5 years or so?
We've been working very closely with the business community, and they've made this a top priority. And so in this last budget, I was pleased to see a significant increase for tuition assistance, along with additional money for universities. My hope is in the next 2 years we can be able to actually increase that and get more tuition assistance to these students.
Coming from the business community, from private donations and that type of thing?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I do think there's a role for government and the resources. That's where most of these dollars and resources come from, but there will be an opportunity for the private industry to help out as well.
What about universities? Are they talking internally? You know, when this all happened at the government level, we talked about sharing of resources and downsizing. Are universities doing any of that internally as well?
Oh, absolutely. I've watched Michigan State University, because it's here in my backyard, make those significant cuts, make sure that they are right-sizing themselves for this current budget situation, and they've done a great job of that. But now really is the time for the state government to kind of meet its obligations. Since the economy is getting better, we should be putting more resources into those institutions. They're preparing our workers of the future, and if we are going to be competitive in that global economy, we have to make sure that they're ready to prepare our students at the best cost for all our community and taxpayers.
Advice for students, because you do hear, and I don't know if it's anecdotal or not, that folks are shying away from perhaps four-year degrees and that type of thing because of the amount of debt that they don't want to be burdened with.
Yeah, I think that's where a student really has to figure out where they want to go. There's a lot of opportunities in the trades that are very well-paying jobs that you don't have to necessarily spend 4 years in higher education. Sometimes you only have to spend a year or two to get a certification and so forth. And so I think a young person has to really decide what type of pathway they want to take and then figure out how they find the resources to be able to pay for it.
Well, that's a big key too, is finding any scholarships or grant monies, not necessarily loans that are going to put you into long-term debt.
Absolutely, and we have these groups that are now within a lot of the high schools here in the region called MCAN, and they're the College Access Network. They work with students in high school. They work with their parents as well to kind of help them understand what are the costs, where are there areas that they can apply for federal aid and other types of scholarships. And this is a great tool that's been created in the last few years to help students manage the college experience.
All right, so students should be doing their part, and you, of course, will be doing your part in Lansing, trying to get everybody working together, making things more affordable. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Today's Comcast Newsmaker was State Representative Sam Singh, a Democrat from the 69th District.